Let's call our shot in the Big 12 right now, man. Who's winning this conference? This conference now, as much as we miss the Pac-12, and man, rest in peace to the Pac-12, brother. Like that conference was phenomenal and unique to college football in the sense that you could be dialed in to Oregon State and, let's just call it Oregon State and UCLA at 10 o'clock Eastern and go all the way till 2 a.m. And a lot of your friends now are winding down from their Saturday, finishing up their plans, and you are locked and loaded into a Pac-12 conference game that's going till 2 a.m. That's the beautiful thing about it. The entertainment value was second to none. And while the Big 12 may not have the late kick times the same as the Pac-12 did, the Big 12, I think, is going to be our, I don't want to say our substitute, but it's going to be the most entertaining conference in college football. How's that for you? College football sickos, welcome home, right? This is your place now. If you live and die with the marching band, the mascots, the tailgates, the unique venues, the rivalries, if you just love everything that is romantic and beautiful about the sport college football, welcome home. Because guess what? We're the exact same way. No hot takes, no additives, no preservatives. It's just college football the way that you want it. So make sure you're subscribed and locked into the On3 YouTube channel so you don't miss a minute of the college football madness that we're going to unpack and cover together. All right, in 3, 2, 1. If you're a college football junkie, doesn't matter who you support. Oregon fans, Michigan fans, Ohio State fans, Penn State fans, Nebraska fans, whoever you love to support, I promise you, we will talk about them on this channel, and we will cover college football the way that you want it covered. So make sure you're subscribed right here to the On3 YouTube channel, baby. This show, The Hard Count, is live 3 times a week, but we got content for you every single day. So subscribe to this channel. Also, make sure you're following me on the social channels at JD Piquel on Twitter and on Instagram. Literally, anyone can win this conference. Like, you lose Oklahoma, you lose Texas to the SEC, and I think there's this thought out there that the conference isn't as talented anymore. I don't know if that's true. I just think it's a very, very small margin between every single team in this conference. Like, talk about Utah being the favorite to win the conference. Kansas State right there behind them. Arizona has the 7th best odds to win this conference, and they bring back 66% production from last year's squad, including one of the best wide receivers in college football in Tetairoa McMillan and their quarterback Noah Fafita, and they won 10 football games last year. I understand it's a new head coach, but still, man, like to have Arizona at 7th best odds, that I think should speak volumes to how difficult this conference will be to win. So I think that they just beat each other up, man. Like, spoiler alert here for our college football playoff field. It's going to be a little bit later in the show. I think you only get one team out of the Big 12 in the college football playoff. And so when I was breaking down this conference, man, the approach I took to it was the groupings of teams and trying to label those groups. So I think you have a gritty group, which is Iowa State, Utah, Kansas State, Oklahoma State, and a quarterback group. Quarterback group being the teams with quarterbacks that could, quite frankly, just take over during the course of a season. And maybe the roster doesn't make the most sense. Maybe they don't look like an outfit that's going to be a Big 12 title contending roster. But the quarterback's like, hey, I'm him. That's the way the thing is going to go. That's why we end up making our way to Jerry World. And those teams are UCF, Arizona, Kansas. Colorado is maybe a bit more of a stretch, but they have the best quarterback in the conference, I believe. So we'll go ahead and put them in that group. Let's start with the gritty group, man. And gritty group, not like the Justin Jefferson dance, though that is, if you can pull that off, more power to you. This is the group that is well-coached, tough, more often than not going to have really solid returning production numbers. Kansas State kind of the exception to that, as they only bring back 37% production from last year's offense. But the defense is right around 80%. So all these teams are going to just be a pain to play, man. They're going to be a pain to play. Like I mentioned returning production, Utah, Iowa State, Oklahoma State are all top 20 in that category. It's going to be brutal. The quarterback group, like I just mentioned, UCF, Arizona, Kansas, Colorado, again, it may not meet the eye test when you look at that roster in July, or I guess now we're in August, but when you actually have to play them, it might just be a thing where it's like, hey, man, Jalen Daniels, we had it schemed up. We had the quarterback spy, and it's like, yeah, but he's special. KJ Jefferson, same deal. He was doing that in the SEC a few years ago, and now he does it in the Big 12. I could see it happening. I think everybody, like I just said, beats up on everybody. I think it is just absolutely back and forth. I think you have multiple teams with 2 to 3 losses. With that being said, though, I think the most stable, high-floor team that we have is exactly who Vegas says we have. And maybe it's a little bit boring, but sometimes boring is eventually the right answer. I think Utah ends up finding their way to the Big 12 title game. All right, I love the way they're built. I love their head coach, Kyle Whittingham. I love the fact they got Cam Rising back. I would feel a little bit better about this pick with them being in the Big 12 title game if I knew without a shadow of a doubt his knee was like good as new, good to go. Still, I think you look at that lettuce he has coming out of the back of that helmet, and that kind of soothes a little bit of your nerves when it comes to breaking that whole thing down. Going back to their schedule, they're at Oklahoma State. They get Arizona at home. Besides that, I think it's all very, very workable. Kansas State, I like a lot. I was very close to putting in the conference title game. But the reason why I have a hard time putting them in Jerry World is the fact that they don't have a ton of returning production on offense, as I mentioned before. The defense could absolutely carry them. And Avery Johnson, I think, is going to be a star. But with it being his first year as the guy at Kansas State, I think it is fair to leave some margin for freshman quarterback moments. First-year starter quarterback moments for Avery Johnson. So in that way, I think that you actually have a team come out of nowhere, team that I haven't even talked about yet, make the Big 12 title game. It's not Oklahoma State. I think they're going to be a tough out, but I actually don't think they make the conference title game. I don't think it's Arizona. As good as they are, as good as they were last year, I don't think that they duplicate that success in 2024. I think it's Texas Tech that finds their way to Jerry World to meet up with Utah, and they go dancing in the house that Jerry built for a conference championship and for a chance to make the college football playoff, for an auto bid of the college football playoff. Now, I will say this. I think Texas Tech shows up in this game with more than one loss. So for Texas Tech, if you don't win this game, you're not getting in. I think Texas Tech, the reason why I love them so much, outside of the path, because they don't have Utah on the schedule, they don't have Kansas State on the schedule, they're at Arizona, they're at Iowa State, they're at Oklahoma State. I think if they can go 1-2 in that stretch, that's going to be good enough to get into this game. Something that we don't talk about enough with Texas Tech is the way they do their eval process. They may have the best evals in all of college football. They run their whole operation like an NFL team. Like they have a personnel department who goes out and scouts, and then from there, they'll offer the kid, or I think come close to offering the kid, and then the position coach gets a chance to talk to them, look at them, recruit them, and that allows them to really be early on a lot of these kids that Texas Tech would like to have on their roster, and they get a fair amount of them. Taj Brooks is a name that not a lot of people know. 1,500-yard back a season ago for Texas Tech. He's back. Baron Morton, he's back. If for some reason you don't have him for the entirety of the season, Will Hammond is a super talented young gun they have out there also in that quarterback room. Also, these guys will run through a wall for Joey McGuire. They would. And I think that matters in a game like this, in a stretch like this, in a conference like this. So when it comes to this game, though, it's tough to go against Utah, man. It just is. Like Cam Rising, what do we know about him? I already told you. Great flow. A lot of success so far during his career at Utah. Played multiple Rose Bowls. All he does as a starting quarterback is win conference titles. Won multiple in the Pac-12 for Utah. I think he gets himself a Big 12 title before he leaves college football. So Utah punches their ticket to the college football playoff, and they are your Big 12 champion. Watching, subscribe to the channel here to make sure you don't miss an episode of The Hard Count. Also be sure to check out other videos on the On3 YouTube channel.